Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.
All right, so before we start today, I just got to give a shout out to Old Bike Barn over at oldbikebond.com. They are a purveyor and seller and distributor of motorcycle parts and also motorcycle apparel and riding gear and whatnot. They got their own line of leather goods and knives under the White Knuckler brand. And more importantly, they got everything you need for your Harley, but we get all the time people coming in the shop asking about old Japanese bikes, so you got Yamaha, XS650 or something, or Honda CB, whatever, CB and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just not set up for it. So I always send people over to oldbikebond.com. They got what you need. And just check them out. Tell them I sent you. Or don't, whatever. And if we just smoked a bunch of wedding cake.
Yeah, we did.
And it's kicking in right now as I'm trying to do these commercials. But so also speaking of that type of stuff, if you're into CBD oil, you need to check out Crater Lake Clear, especially if you're worried about the quality of the stuff around you or that's available to you, or don't order some bullshit online or get some shit that's like $10 at the bodega, like next to the fucking Bang energy drinks or whatnot. You need to make sure this shit's pure and made right and through all organic and whatnot. So you need to check out Crater Lake Clear. If you got anxiety or insomnia or just inflammation or any kind of shit, it helps out, man. It's going to calm you down and make you feel better. So check them out, craterlakeclear.com. If you use the promo code BigTruth at checkout, you get, I believe it's 20% off your order over there. Now, on the opposite side of that, if you got a little fucking weenie dog that's snippy and nervous, and it could be a big dog too. It doesn't have to be a little one, but cat that's just an asshole. So you need to check out Vet CS, or you got a fucking horse that's a fucking dickhead, keeps throwing you off or whatever, and needs to chill the fuck out. Go check out Vet CS. It's founded by a veterinarian and a vet tech, and it's again, it's like Crater Lake Clear, but for animals. They make some of the purest, cleanest, fucking most good. I'm gonna see if they'll use that as the ad slogan. It's the most good. The most goodest. It's the most goodest. I'm not doing weed anymore. So
my fault.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I have an infected leg from a cut on my leg, and I'm on antibiotics, so I can't drink. So we're going to get into some potentially heated topics tonight, so I had to make sure just to be a little bit calm. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, go check out vetcs.com. They got CBD oil specifically for your dog, for your cat, for your horse, and it's not like they just one size fits all. They're going to ask you questions about your pet, like the size, the issues, this and that, and they have formulations directly for your animal. Use the promo code BigTruth over there for a good amount off your order. Fall's around the corner. It's still hot and balmy in here in Chophead tonight. It was super fucking hot, cooled off, and now it's back to being a tropical, not really a paradise, but a tropical fucking weather system in here. So you might need a tank top, depending on where you are. You might need a sweater, a hoodie, or something. Check out Omerta over at omertamia.com, the most legit streetwear brand there is out there. You probably saw their shirt that says like "Stop glorifying rats" or any of those type of things. But check them out, omertamia.com, on Instagram and all the social media, simply at Omertamia, which is, I know you can't understand my accent. Everyone that's off the Northeast Coast, it's OMERTAMIA.com. Now, you're looking for some more clothes, but you're a little off kilter. You like to bite the heads off pigeons or fucking bats or some shit. Fucking you're reading the Necronomicon, trying to do spells or fucking, I don't know.
You're like Dave Mustaine trying to cast a spell.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But you're in a weird shit, right? You're a little off. You read about Aleister Crowley and you listen to Black Sabbath records and fucking Devo records backwards and fucking, but you're also into choppers and show vans and serial killers and cults and whatnot and all the fun stuff. You need to check out Heavy over at heavy.bigcartel.com, on Instagram at Heavy Clothing. Zach Doom's got the shit you want. He's the purveyor of nefarious wares and clothing attire. So check him out over at heavy.bigcartel.com. If you're in a motor, but I didn't want to forget these guys either. If you happen to be, we're in the last couple months of motorcycle season out here, and I know everyone's like, all right, year round. Well, good for you, but for the general public, October, November, December, things start to slow down, which means people aren't used to seeing as many bikes on the road. They're driving more distracted, more fucking retarded. Check out lawtigers.com if you happen to get hit. They're a motorcycle law firm that was founded for riders, by riders. They specialize in motorcycle accident law things. So check them out, lawtigers.com, or go to Facebook and type in Law Tigers in your state to get in touch with your local office. If you're just into motorbiking and motorcycling and chopping bikes or stock bikes, whatever it is you're into, if you're just into motorcycles in general, you need to check out Chop Cult over at chopcult.com, the biggest online information clearinghouse and message board for motorcycle-related talk. And they also have like off-topic talks where you just talk shit and dumb shit. But more importantly, they got an online swap meet where you can buy, sell, and trade parts. And they got an online message board. They got a events page where you can find out about motorcycle-related events all across the country, all across the world, broken up by location and date. Everything is absolutely free. So check them out at chopcult.com or on all the social medias, simply at chopcult. Yeah, and if you want even more motorcycle shit, come by the shop over here, 13 County Road, East Freetown. We got an actual physical address. We're not a warehouse that sells parts that other people make out of it. We're a full-service brick-and-mortar motorcycle shop. We do everything from oil changes to a full custom chopper build. We do speed work, motor work, audio stuff, whatever. So check us out, chopperhead.com. We do have an online presence a little bit with a store, so you can buy some swag and apparel and parts, but we carry like everybody. We're hooked up with everybody, so if you don't see a part on the website, give us a call. We can get it for you. And it's www.chopperhead.com or 508-995-6764, and you can't text and send dumb messages because it's a landline, still old school. And come check us out if you're in the Northeast. And last but not least, if you want more information on the show here, go to bigtruthpodcast.com. All the episodes are up. Make sure wherever you listen to this, whether it's on Apple or Spotify or Stitcher or any of Android, wherever you're listening to it, make sure you like it, share it, leave a review where you can. And that's the best way to keep this show going and growing. And if you like the show even more than you're like, all right, I already left a review. What can I do? You can go to patreon.com/bigtruth and financially support the show if you feel so inclined. The Patreons are my motherfuckers. I love them. And they put their money where their mouth is and put up money to help this show continue to go and grow. So check it out there. There's 4 different levels of patronage you can sign up for, and they all have their own little exclusive benefits, inside information. And we got a lot planned for this year to do some stuff that are Patreon exclusive. So check it out, patreon.com/bigtruth. And without further ado, we get into it right now.
We have a liftoff.
Yes, once again, we have liftoff. I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Big Truth Podcast. It's a special episode. I have my first anonymous guest who's in the house right here with me. So we can't do video for this one. Video is coming soon. I'm working on that. But I got Accountant X in the house.
Yeah.
who's going to talk to us about all things tax and IRS and money related and business related and all that good stuff. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's been a few moves made in the last year or attempted to be made or in the middle of being made that might have some pretty significant impacts, more in the middle class than anybody else, really. Yeah, there's some big shit going on. So want to delve into that. We'll delve into some history and some, whatever. But Accountant X, what's up, man?
How is it going?
Good, man.
I was thinking, Accountant X, does that mean I'm like, if I could be the accountant superhero, I could just use my pocket protector to block all the fucking bullets?
Well, so the best thing about Accountant X is he's heavily armed. And, he doesn't want you to know that, but you don't know who he is anyway, so.
Half of our friend base does.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, but the general
This is
world,
fun.
the general world does.
It's fun to be anonymous once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're going to talk about some controversial shit that,
For sure.
some other clients of yours might not want to be affiliated with, or,
Exactly.
or we might have 87,000 more motherfuckers looking for something to do.
Yeah.
We don't want them digging into the archives here.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, where do you want to start with this?
Well, why don't we start with this?
Yeah.
Because we're two people from similar worlds.
Yeah.
And you ended up in the world of accounting.
Yeah. It was an accident.
How did that happen? Like, what got you interested in that? Were you always just like
Well-
number cruncher, or just
Dude, I don't think so, man. I can remember, like, my dad was always somehow wicked good with fucking numbers. And, when I was a little kid, he'd be fucking around. We'd be playing with a calculator, and I'd say the problem, and he'd know the answer before I could punch it in. I never knew how that worked because in school I wasn't even that good at this shit. But I don't know. I went in the Army, and after I got out, I was fucking around doing whatever, carpentry, whatever. And I was, with my ex-wife at the time, and she says, we got to fucking do better than this. We got to go to school, yada, yada. I had the GI Bill, so I just started taking some classes and ended up taking a business class. Took this accounting class. This guy's like, hey, there's like 30 of you here now, but there'll be like 15 of you when this is done. And I'm like ex-infantry guy. I'm all, yeah, fuck you, Well, how hard could this be? And it turned out that this shit was just really easy to me. It just made sense, you know?
Yeah.
It's fucking dumb anyway, if you think about it. It's just like all shit that people made up to keep track of, whether or not a capitalist company is actually profitable, right?
Yeah.
And then from that, we morph into all this shit that we'll soon talk about here with the tax thing. But, so it's not like it's just they make it almost like purposely confusing, it seems. But
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it wasn't that tricky for me. I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
it's just something that you took to.
yeah, it was literally the path of least resistance, and then whatever. So I
Were there 15 people left at the end of the
yeah,
class?
pretty much. Yeah, it's one of those things where it doesn't really make much sense. So you just kind of have to just take it for what it is,
Yeah. It's weird, man, because I was never good with math. I was more like the other side of things, like history and reading and shit.
Sure.
But when I got into school, when the first time we did math, when it was statistics,
Yeah.
that all made sense to me, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, this fucking makes sense."
Yeah, and that's some of the hardest, weirdest shit you can do.
But it also gave me an understanding of how statistics are fucking manipulated to
For
help
sure.
further agendas, which has
Yeah.
been going on pretty fucking heavily the last couple of years. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so that was the first sense, like geometry. Not geometry. Sorry, algebra or calculus. That stuff was so like
Dude, I sucked at that shit.
esoteric to me. I was like, I don't know.
In high school, not a chance, dude. I was told I wasn't college material.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was one of those things where I think it's like anything else, right? If you've never been a plumber, but you go learn how to be a fucking plumber, next thing you know, you can install a shitter. If you
Yeah.
start working with numbers enough, you just get used to numbers.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
It's like anything.
But you also kind of went where like it's not like you chose the path of least resistance. It was just like it came easy to you, so you
Yeah.
embrace that.
Yeah.
Some people, plumbing's going to come wicked easy to them.
Yeah.
Some people it's not.
Right.
You know
That's
what I mean?
true. That's true, I guess.
So, but the people that comes easy to, they're going to have a gift with it and
Yeah.
amplify it. I've been trained by someone easy enough to do the basic accounting.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
good
yeah.
enough. Like I can't even imagine having to like read tax code and decipher tax code and then bring that
Well,
into
let me demystify that for you just a little bit, right? Like what I do is like the general practice of taxes and accounting. It's not like, it's like a doctor, right? You go for your checkup. He's not the guy that's going to give you brain surgery, though.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same thing. Like, I work in a very specific niche with smaller businesses. I've been doing the same thing for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
So, it gets even easier at that point.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And then you're just more on the radar paying attention to what you need to know for the clientele that you mostly serve.
I specialize in trying to help people not get in trouble in the first place. If I can, to the extent that I can, the extent that people let me.
Which
is why, some cases I don't want to let my name out here right now. But, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is have them not come fuck with you. That's my goal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But there's other people that all they do is help people unfuck themselves when they're already screwed with those guys.
Yeah. And then there's people that help people do things that will fuck them.
Well, yeah, there's that. Something I was thinking about, some of the stuff and what might come up. And, that's funny that you bring that up, because there's like a lot of high priced lawyers that over the years have come up with some shit, right? Because let's talk about this. Like, let's just assume that these rules are, valid for a minute, just for the sake of this discussion, right? So they put out this set of rules, and then the IRS interprets it, and then we interpret it. Now, sometimes they see you doing a certain thing, and they're like, that's not what we meant. So they'll put out like some kind of guidance and say, no, that's not how it goes. It goes like this. So then if you're not doing that, well, then, you got to fight. But if you really think you're right, well, then you could take this shit all the way to tax court, but that's not the kind of shit I'm doing.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, it's a sort of a game in the sense that, like, they're going to interpret it a certain way that works for them, because they're there to collect money.
Yeah.
And some of these lawyers try to get tricky, try to outthink themselves into thinking that, like, their opinion matters about how this shit is interpreted, right? If the IRS turns around and says, we don't like that, they'll slap the shit out of you.
Yeah.
A few years ago, they got a bunch of lawyers doing these crazy schemes with like estate tax planning bullshits with all these really rich people, making it so that income was not going to get taxed ever, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm obviously paraphrasing here, but, basically they gave the taxpayers an opportunity to step forward and say, hey, I did this. But they try to put those lawyers in jail. So those are the people you're talking about. They come up with these bright ideas, and then people think, oh, I'm protected because this guy said it's okay. Nah, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Why don't we get into? I mean, it's weird because like offline, we've had a lot of interesting conversations, or like, hey, we should definitely talk about that on the podcast sometime.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we go? I want to go back before we. Let's establish a couple of operating things that I don't know are common, if they're common knowledge or not. They should be.
Okay, let's hear it.
But let's not. And then, correct me or add to it. Or
sure, absolutely.
One, the Federal Reserve Bank is a private bank. It's not a government bank.
Okay.
But, founding fathers, and I'm not trying to get into any politics, always warned us, do not give control over the money to central banks. So prior to us doing that in 1913 with the Federal Reserve Act, the U.S. had a treasury and printed its own money, which every dollar printed by the U.S. was treasury, was backed by gold or silver, allegedly, because, whatever, like, if everything was in a row, if all the ducks were in a row, it was backed by gold and silver.
Okay.
Now, in 1913, we signed the Federal Reserve Act, which gave the power of printing our currency over to the Federal Reserve, which is not a government organization. It's a private bank. And when you look at the kind of background of who's involved in the Federal Reserve, there's a bunch of names that you'll recognize. But anyway, so long and short of that, now the money is only backed by consumer confidence. Okay. So they print the dollar. Yeah. It's not backed by gold and silver anymore. Yeah. It's like
it's a house of cards.
It's a house of cards, right?
Yeah.
But it's coincidentally, Americans did not pay federal income tax until shortly after the Federal Reserve Act was put through.
Not exactly true, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Like that's when the IRS and all that came.
I mean, they did try and take.
The IRS came long before that, but
yeah, they did try and take like war taxes for like wartime.
Yes,
things, but it was under debate the legality of it.
Oh, for sure. It
in
actually
the
got
late
repealed
1800s,
after the Civil War.
Yeah. It was a wartime thing only,
right,
and then it was
right.
supposed to be repealed, and it was like always in conjecture, like is this? It's not legal to do this. It's
So this whole thing of the idea of a graduated income tax, and for the listeners that just don't know what that is, it's just basically like depending on how much you make, your tax rate goes up. That's what a graduated rate is.
But before we get
Sure.
into the fine, I'm just trying to make some main points. So
go ahead.
prior to 1913, we printed our own money. It was backed by U.S. gold and silver.
Yep.
Do the Federal Reserve Act. Now we give control over to central banks.
Yep.
And they are printing our money, but it's not the U.S. Treasury doing it anymore. So it's now the government says, hey, we need $1 billion. The Federal Reserve goes, here's your $1 billion. Now you owe us that $1 billion plus interest.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's just kind of, I don't know, and I might be making a jump or a leap here, but it's interesting that, the federal income tax came back hard shortly after that. And and we don't know where our money goes to.
Is it a coincidence? I don't think so. Maybe,
no, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say I know for sure, but it's just interesting.
I mean, there's some people that brought up the idea and pushed it was actually a bunch of farmers, because all the industrial people were making products that they couldn't afford to buy because the farm shit was, whatever they could produce was not generating that kind of price. But, it was a little bit of a political game too, because at the time, and again, not political, it just happens to be, it was a conservative group said, hey, you know what? If we just push this through, it'll never get ratified. We'll just propose an amendment. And they proposed an amendment, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, some other people, I don't even know how that happened, but some other people figured out how to get it past the states, and then it ended up becoming a freaking amendment.
Yeah.
So they gambled and lost a little bit there. But you're probably onto something too. I mean, there's probably way more nefarious.
And the Federal Reserve Act was passed Christmas night in 1913. So think about how many people were there actually voting. And the shitty things that they always fucking do.
Of course.
So anyway, long story short, there's the face side of there's the side that is like the promoted side.
Mm-hmm.
There's the side of like, here's what happened. And then there's the side of it like that we will never know, actually the backroom fucking things. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you can read things like The Creature from Jekyll Island and stuff and learn more about like the history and background and everything. But anyway, so long story short is everyone still thinks the Federal Reserve is part of the government because it's got the word federal in it. So it sounds like it's part of the thing.
Yeah.
And don't think that's coincidental that they did these are smart motherfuckers. Yeah. They run central banks all over the world. It's not fucking, you know what I mean? Like they finance both sides of wars and do shit like that. So anyway,
the whole globe's a house of cards, really. It's like everybody's doing the same shit.
So, but the problem is, right, is these motherfuckers are printing billions of dollars, right, and giving it to the U.S. government on loan and that money needs to be repaid with interest. And then the interest, they're taking it and buying real physical assets and things that are real with money they made out of thin air, out of nothing. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? So it's bananas. And now we have the IRS, which is the henchmen for collecting the money for the government. Where how much of it goes to paying Federal Reserve debt and how much goes to U.S. programs? I don't know. Like, 'cause I don't feel like there's enough transparency where U.S. tax dollars go. And
it's also hard for the average person, and me, to even understand how because they muddy the waters so far that it's hard to see it.
Plus, the long and short of it is government is such a big behemoth that you can't even tell where everything goes. Mm-hmm. So,
how about the Pentagon's last two audits that they can't get a clean opinion on? Yeah. I mean, the Pentagon, dude. I haven't looked at this in a while, but I know it was a lot of money missing.
Yeah. But and the other thing is when Senator Ron Paul at the time tried to propose like an audit to be able to audit the Federal Reserve, and they were like,
yeah, no.
Fuck you. Yeah, they're like, no, it ain't fucking happening, motherfuckers.
Right.
Sit down, bitch. You know what I mean? Yeah. So basically, you guys are all slaves to the Federal Reserve private bank. But I didn't mean to sum it up that quick. It's the wedding cake weed.
Manifesto right now. This
it's not a manifesto. I'm just joking. Saying. I just wanted to put down a few operating historical principles because I don't think a lot of people know this because we're not taught this shit in school. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, honestly, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm an economist. Like, I don't get half of the shit we're talking about right now when it comes to the Federal Reserve. You know what I mean? That shit's like way above my pay grade.
Yeah, but the thing is, we're not taught about.
Yeah, we're not taught about it. Is the problem?
Yeah, we're not even taught. I don't even know like how many schools have American civics courses where people don't know basic shit. But don't think that's on that's just because it goes by the
not.
wayside. They are invested in you being fucking dumb as fucking rocks. And we are. I'm not saying everybody in the world, but as en masse, as a population, and I mean en masse, like not in Massachusetts, NENMASSE.
Yes.
The U.S. population is a dumb pile of fucking rocks.
Right. It's a fact. I mean, well, it goes to the meme,
a complacent, fucking lazy, fucking dumb pile of rocks. I'm not talking, you know what I mean? I'm not talking on an individual level, but I'm saying in general, we are apathetic. We are not involved. We're not involved. We're apathetic. And we deserve everything we got right now because we let this happen.
Now, conversely,
yes,
but still to your point, you know, they don't teach you how to do your fucking taxes in school.
They don't teach how to balance a fucking not that you need to balance a checkbook anymore because they don't even want you to have checks. They just want everything.
Yeah, but you know, you should still balance your freaking account. I know I'm a nerd and the bean counter, but I'm telling you, like, that's how people get fucked by these banks with these overdraft charges because they don't know how to do that shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to do a little background there, and you know, if I'm wrong on anything, because I know some people are like, yeah, you feel free to chime in, and if I'm legitimately wrong, hit me up. You know what I mean? Because I'm always ready to be stand corrected. But I've been looking at this stuff for a long time, and a really good movie to kind of check out was a guy named Aaron Russo, who was Bette Midler's husband. He was also Led Zeppelin's tour manager, and he was a Hollywood director. He made I can't remember. He made. He made some like Bette Midler movies. I think he might have made Trading Places or something. Yeah. So he was like a mainstream Hollywood thing, and he started investigating all the shit that we just talked about. And he made a whole documentary called America, Freedom to Fascism. Yeah. And it just followed all this and the trail of money and how everything kind of went through. And I haven't watched it in probably a decade, but it was really good, and it was. It broke it down. And he even had like Supreme Court judges just saying, if Americans really knew what the fuck was going on, there'd be like riots in the streets and shit.
Would there be though? Because like nowadays you can't convince anybody to agree that like sky is blue.
People riot on dumb shit. Yeah. Like they riot because the Red Sox win or didn't win a fucking World Series and Boston's on fucking fire. But shit that like affects you and like your kids and your grandkids and the whole country for the rest of our lives. Like people are like, whatever, they don't get time. But that said, when I said people are lazy in this, I meant in regards to this stuff.
Sure.
Motherfuckers work. Like Americans are also overworked. And this is the first thing I kind of want to get into with all this, right? I'm going to lead into it. But Americans are overworked. Most households, like, well, pre-COVID, let's say, because the world's a little fucking weird now.
Yeah, it is still wacky.
You know, people. It was common for households to, like with a family, the two parents working at least one job, probably two jobs each. Sure. And that all changed dramatically. Like, and we talked about this roughly once. And I remember asking you about this probably like 2 years ago. Like, how did it go from like in the 50s or 60s where you could have like, just a typical suburban household, family of four with a house, a car, on one income. You know, 40-hour-a-week income was keeping a whole family going with no problems, and people were stacking money. You know what I mean? Like, it's saving money. You know what I mean? So, like, how did it go from that to where we are now, where it's like even more of a fucking rat race for most working kind of middle class?
Yeah, man. I mean, wages
and lower class.
Wages definitely haven't kept up with the rising inflation. You know, and we're seeing a lot of that now. You know, but you know, there's also the whole thing where people are like, well, why do people have to get $15 an hour to flip burgers? Hey, yo, I get it, but not after they just handed out $1 trillion fucking dollars or whatever. Yeah, you know, that's going to make all the prices rise. But the point is, like, back in the 50s, everybody was working. Post-war, they were building all the infrastructure. Yeah, tax structure was way different, way higher than what it is now. Yeah, there's been some overhauls. Like the most major ones was 1954. When they put out the Internal Revenue Code, but then the last like 3 or 4, I want to say, let's see, Reagan did one, Bush did one, Trump did one. So like the last 3 big tax law changes, and this is not at all political, it's just a fact, where Republican administrations lowering the tax rates, but mainly for themselves. And again, the problem is now, you could say the same thing about the Democrats. Yeah. Over 50% of the congressmen right now are millionaires.
Yeah. And they make $200,000 a year.
And it's only progressively gotten worse where, now there's corporate money in all of this. So they're able to buy the politicians so they can make the rules.
Yeah.
That's when they get these tax laws changed. But I've heard it said that in 1970, if a kid worked all summer, he could put himself through Harvard. And now you can't do that either. They've always figured out a way, once the feds get involved with our tax money, to fuck shit up. That's what they did with student loans, and there was never any of that shit before. Until they started getting into it, then all of a sudden now you got all these people strapped in debt because the tuition prices went straight up as soon as the feds had all the money to give them. So.
Well, I it's always been my tenet that I don't trust any level of government to do things quickly, efficiently, or effectively. They stumble through shit. Sometimes they get some shit right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Never.
It's
you
true.
know what I mean? But most of the time, they might get shit right, but it's a long, arduous, fucking shitty road.
Here's the thing. Like, what are we actually talking about? We say the government, right?
Yeah, well, there's different levels. Yeah.
Let's face it, whatever gets passed, someone's benefiting somehow.
Yeah.
Right? We have to recognize that.
Absolutely.
So, you follow the money, you figure out why things are the way they are.
Yeah.
But, I don't know,
I think putting how many trillions was this fucking Inflation Reduction Act or something?
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's not going to reduce any inflation.
No, that's like we owe the Federal Reserve that money back plus interest. It's going to make things fucking so worse in the long run. And it's it's
some shit on that. What did I?
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I know this is getting convoluted all over.
Right.
I just wanted to set a thing. So, but again, going from so the tax code's changed. Just how in the 60s or 50s.
Sure. I was even surprised to find out, because obviously I wanted to have my shit together if you were going to ask me anything like this, was how recently the highest tax rate was 90%. 1981, dude. Before Reagan.
Yeah.
Right? 90%. That was, granted, it was on the highest earner, but that was almost expected.
Yeah.
So getting back to what you just said.
See, but I feel like that's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
Believe me, I don't know anyone in that bracket. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying this. No one should be taxed at 90 fucking %.
And I wouldn't disagree. I guess the point is, at one point, if you were a person that had way more than everybody else, you kind of reflectively paid a tax that was
more reflective of
dude, because you were never going to want for nothing. Don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying too. There's an argument to be made both sides, but it's either, hey, you know what, no taxes, or
no,
or somebody maybe paying their fair share. Because we talk about the middle class. You were talking about, this anti-inflation bill, what have you. Now, this is one I'll pick on the Democrats for a minute, because, I'm sure there were some Republicans that probably voted this way too, but all 50 Democratic senators.
No, all 50 Republicans voted against it.
Well, no. All 50 Democratic.
Yeah.
They voted against this provision whereby they would literally codify it in the bill that they wouldn't fuck with anybody who made less than $400,000.
Oh, okay.
And so, what you were saying before, you were like, this is a lie, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's lip service, because if they really wanted it to be a fact, they put it in the bill. And some guy had proposed it, and they voted on it, and every single Democratic senator voted against that. So, listen, the IRS, as you pointed out before, is the henchman, right?
Yeah.
It's their job to collect freaking money.
Yeah.
If there's not a law telling them they can't do X, Y, and Z, they will do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Okay? If you even look at what was going on during COVID with the freaking PPP shit, right? They wanted to get that money out there. They didn't want to have to pay everybody unemployment. They wanted to put the onus on employers, et cetera. They wanted to try to keep these businesses open. So they start handing out this PPP money, and they're telling everybody it's not taxable. And then the IRS looks at what the code was on the books at that time and said, well, no, it's not taxable income. However, it's subject to the expense disallowance rules, which is the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
You're telling me I can't fucking deduct it. It's the same thing as saying it's income, right?
Yeah.
So literally Congress had to beat feet in December of the same year, 2020, and tell them, no, that's not what we meant. Let them deduct it.
Yeah.
But if they hadn't, the IRS would have been up our ass trying to.
The IRS don't give a fuck.
They don't give, because they're literally tasked with collecting the money, and they must justify their own budget.
Yeah.
And
that's the thing, and that's what scares me the most about them more than doubling. Because right now, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I've read multiple sources that say there's 78,000 IRS agents.
Yeah. I've been reading 79, but so we're
78, 79.
Sure. Yeah.
Bringing on 87,000 more is more than doubling the size of the IRS, effectively, as the number of agents.
And then
And they're only going to go after you. You really, if you believe that they're really only going to go after people that make over $400,000, you're fucking stupid, because they're going to run out of that number pretty quick, and then they're going to have 87,000 people who are that they're responsible for that are going to need to justify having a job.
I can expound on this a little bit. So first of all, let me say I've been doing this shit for 20 years, and the last 2 years during COVID, it's been so quiet. Those motherfuckers can't bother us, really.
Yeah.
Like you can't get a hold of them either if you're trying to fix shit. Yeah. But for a minute, they were just kind of dysfunctional as fuck, and I didn't have to worry about those jerk offs. Right?
Yeah.
But now, they're going to 87,000 more. However, maybe they'll get to a level where they can actually answer the fucking phone or answer your correspondence when you explain to them why they're wrong or some shit.
Yeah.
However, I've been reading that even with that level, that they would basically be able to get back to the audit levels of 10 years ago, because they've been historically going down, I guess, after the last decade.
Okay.
And as I told you this before, like, less than 1% of all returns get audited. Now, granted, you're right on point by saying that it doesn't matter the demographic. Whichever ones do get audited, you could still be in that demographic if you're in the middle class, because they didn't put it in the bill.
Yeah.
So you still could be a target.
Yeah. So all you people
they're going to get back to like the way it was when they were like, right now they can't fuck with anybody, which is kind of great.
Yeah.
But they're going to go back to the way it was. So of course it's going to increase, like you said, on the middle class as well.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's nothing stopping them from doing it.
Yeah.
They're going to target what they're going to target.
And that's why I always say none of these motherfuckers, DOR, really, really represent your interests. And Democrats just showed it right there. They could have put that in, and they said, no, go after the middle class. That's exactly what they said. And by the way,
and don't get me wrong, like, I don't, again, not political, because I'm telling you straight, I don't like Trump either. No. But I don't like Biden either. Here's a guy, he's spouting off about how he's not going to do that. Yeah. But he's just yapping. So it's like anybody that likes him or whatever is just going to be like eating that shit up. But it's just all lip service. There's nothing stopping the IRS from coming after you.
No.
So again, have your ducks in a row. You don't have to worry about that shit. That's kind of like what I like.
No, I get that. But what I mean is like, but there is just random audits. Absolutely. Now there's going to be plenty more.
The National Research Project is what they call it. They do it like almost every 10 years.
Yeah.
Where they just kind of do randoms.
Yeah.
Right. Just to see where people are fucking up.
Yeah.
And then they'll target those certain things, and they might even do it by region, like, depending on where the people are actually cheating.
Now, answer me this. Is it just coincidental that, I don't know if this got pushed through or not, because, I hear different things.
Sure.
Where they wanted to start, like, previously it was transactions over $10,000 that got flagged.
Yeah, that's the old 8,300 rule that you go to the bank and shit. Yeah.
But now they wanted to bring it down to $600 fucking dollars.
They were talking about that, but that did get shot down.
It did get shot down. Okay, because someone told me today, I was like, I think that got shot down. They're like, no, that went
the
through.
Reason that that person might be thinking of something slightly different is just the threshold for 1099s, like especially like on online commerce. For a minute, it was like PayPal, for example. I forget what the threshold was. Maybe it was 10 grand or 20 grand before you would be considered a business.
Yeah.
And then some places like Mass made it $600. They were talking about doing that. They were talking about changing some of the 1099 reporting.
Did they do that?
They probably did. Yeah, that they did.
I heard. Well, that's what it was, because someone said everything over 600 has to be 1099.
But it's not the same as what we were worried about, because you and I had spoken about this as well. They were literally saying to the banks, they wanted the banks to report to the Fed. It's kind of like, so right now, even the shop would be technically supposed to do it. If somebody came in here with $10,000 in cash and bought a bike. Yeah. I didn't know that until one of my clients actually got audited. I thought it was just a bank thing.
Yeah.
One of my clients got audited because they do sell some things that, people could potentially pay with more than $10,000 in cash. And we were supposed to be doing those forms.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. So, again, what we were worried about, that is what we were worried about. The banks having to like be snooping in your account for everything over $600. It's like, by the way, not everybody's a business either.
No, but you know what? You can buy a TV that's $600. Easy. And now you got to fucking flag that.
Well, not to mention, what are you flagging it for?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. So it's like something for those 87,000 extra motherfuckers to do. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
It's kind of like, when you're getting audited, right? One of the first things they're going to do, if you're a business, let's say, they're going to look at what you said on your tax return, which your gross receipts, and they're going to look at your bank deposits for that same year and add them up. And you'd have to explain any difference between those two numbers. So why the hell you got to monitor it in the first place? You know what? If you want to catch people, fucking audit them.
Yeah.
Don't be, because what they're trying to do is just make it so they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what happens with audits. A lot of them are not in person. A lot of them are just, we send a letter. And then some people either don't have the wherewithal, the understanding, or what to deal with it, and they end up sometimes paying taxes that they don't have to pay. Sure.
Yeah. And then when it's time to get a rebate check on that, don't hold your breath about it coming quickly.
Well, right.
If you overpaid, it's going to be like we'll keep this a little while.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like when they owe you money, refund wise, they'll give it to you. It's a different story if they thought you owed them money and you paid it, because you're worried about them, being in wage garnishment or some shit like that. And then it turns out that they're wrong. Well, now it takes you a minute to get it.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. That's especially with like innocent spouse claims.
Yeah. I'm not talking about like your regular returns or whatever.
Yeah. I had a lady one time that she was getting whacked for her ex-husband's shit.
Oh, yeah.
Getting the fucking refund snagged. So I tried to help her out and we got her the innocent spouse, but they said, we're going to give you partial relief. We're going to do it from now going forward. We're not going to give you those 3 last years of refunds that you could probably use that money. But
of course,
sorry, we're going to keep that.
Yeah.
Because they knew they weren't going to get it from the other dude.
Yeah. So we got ours. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
You figure it out. Go get them. But yeah, man. So let me look at these notes here because I took notes on some stuff to talk about. So long story short.
Yes.
I know there's been things about like what agents are armed and this and that. And how many of that. But then someone said it was only 300 of those. Yeah,
because there's already guys with guns and badges, and they're there for the so-called financial crimes. Like I was going through that stupid 8300 audit, and the agent was asking me if I check people's names against the FBI's list of whatever. And I looked at this lady, I'm like, you want me to profile people? Is that what you want me to do? I'm like, nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But it's all got to do with that division. They just try to see, if like they raid people down the wharf, and shit. It's always the IRS guys with the guns that show up because they want to get all the records. In case you're getting a fucking paperclip fight with these motherfuckers. They got guns.
But dude, I don't know if you saw any of the videos where they show some of those guys getting trained or gals.
Ah, Jesus.
And I'm like, these are some dopey ass motherfuckers.
Dude, it's so funny, man.
I don't know if those are. I was like, I don't know if these are real or not. I can't speak to them, and I should have some saved. I'll show it to you later. But I'm like, if these are the motherfuckers coming,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know that that's the guys that made fucking guns. Like, if you really have a financial crime problem and you think that people are armed and shit, we'll show up with some law enforcement. I guess I don't know.
Well, that's
what the fuck.
But I just don't understand why we need weaponized tax revenue with the authorization to use lethal force. I'm like,
crazy shit though. If isn't it a fact? If I have this wrong, I apologize, but I think you would know if I'm telling the truth here.
Okay.
During fucking Prohibition, wasn't it the fucking IRS agents that were chasing motherfuckers?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, they've been around since the Civil War.
Yeah.
They never went away. They were kind of like a law enforcement thing at first.
Yeah.
But then obviously things progressed to where we are now.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit more paper pusher now, I would think. But you still got these guys because they're chasing down, trying to figure out money laundering schemes.
But that's how they got a lot of the old school gangsters was on tax stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why they were so involved.
Hey, you want to talk about that for a minute? Because that relates to how taxes work for weed.
Okay.
And this is a real fucked up thing.
Okay. Now this is for everybody. And then I also want to follow up with how was the money that was collected off weed tax in Colorado compared to Massachusetts and what was done with that money.
Okay.
Where Colorado residents were getting rebate checks from their taxes.
Yeah.
In Massachusetts, that money just went into the fucking ether.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
So, all right. But go ahead. Talk about the overall. Yeah. Talk about the overall.
So we were kind of talking about, you mentioned the organized crime, and everybody kind of knows that Capone didn't get caught for killing people, get caught for tax evasion. So obviously organized crime, they started getting figured out that, hey, we need to launder this money or at least report it as other income so they can't get us on this shit, pay them some taxes, they can shut up, right? So Reagan comes along and he puts his new tax law change in the 80s there, and there was this new code section he put in there. I won't bore you with the code section. Just the point is, it makes it so if you are engaged in trafficking a Schedule I substance like weed, right, that you're not allowed to write off all of your expenses. So basically, all these weed businesses that are legal in all the states, right? They're paying like a 70% tax rate when you think about it, because they're paying all these expenses, money they don't get to keep, but they're still paying tax on it because they're not allowed to use the deduction. Like, for example, insurance.
Yeah.
Every business can write that off. They can't. They can only write off the cost of goods sold. So the feds are actually profiting off of actually keeping it illegal,
Sure.
right? That's one. The kicker, Massachusetts, it's legal, right? Right? Yeah. For, I don't know what, since what, 2012, I think it was, with the medicinal maybe? At any rate, it's
Medicinal for a while,
Yeah.
and then full recreational was
It's
just
been a
couple years
minute.
ago. Yeah.
Now, you would think because it's legal here, right, that would not be the case in Massachusetts, right? You should be able to write off all your expenses. It's
No,
legal.
Massachusetts is like, no.
No, check it. So they hang their hat. They hide behind the law, so to speak, because Mass will follow what the Fed does unless they write their own law. So after we passed it by referendum, the people said we want weed, but the people don't have any right to say the legislature has to do this. They don't have the right to vote on which laws they follow. So for a minute, they just fixed it, right? For a minute, Mass was collecting the same exorbitant tax, even though they were already taxing the shit out of it anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Up until May of this year, they finally fixed it.
Yeah.
They got away with it for like almost a decade.
But and where did all that tax money go?
Good question.
There was not my state taxes didn't go down at all. I didn't get a rebate check, and I'm not saying I'm entitled to one, but I'm just saying I would like to know that where all that money went.
Right, yeah,
That's
I
one of
mean,
the biggest problems is that there's just no.
I wonder-
and I know it's probably a crazy fucking labyrinth, but they can
Sure.
break down some basic things like say 42% went to this, 20% to that, and again, like I said, referenced earlier, statistics can be funny too, but at least get a general sense of where shit went.
Was Colorado the first one?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if it was like, being the first one, you had to sweeten the pot a little bit. I don't know. And then these other places started getting
don't think so.
greedy.
I just think
it's kind of like
Colorado's
casinos. It's the same shit. Like once everybody has a casino, nobody's gonna make any fucking money here.
I think Massachusetts is the oldest, even though it's this Commonwealth and not a state. But
Yeah.
it's the oldest one. I think it's got the most experience and like the biggest government and the most
yeah.
fuckery. One of the most. Besides, I think Massachusetts, New York, and fucking California are the big three. Fucking.
Well, I mean, Commonwealth, right? So we voted in the weed, and then it took them 2 years to get going, and then they were like, one more time. Are you sure? Remember that?
Yeah, yeah,
The question was on there again.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what do you mean?
Yeah, people spoke.
Yeah.
Fucking.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah. I think what happens is that when someone gets elected,
Yeah.
I think two things happen, right? And I think this is part of like where I feel like we are partly responsible and accountable for all this bullshit going on.
Okay.
I think you got a senator, whatever level, state, local, federal, whatever, they get elected. And we're overworked. We're reading media headlines. We're not getting full stories. We're getting narratives by whatever media outlet and going with whatever narrative they want to propose, like whether it's Fox or MSNBC or anything like that, or CNN or whatever. And so people are just kind of getting very just tidbits of information, not the full nuanced story.
And slanted. Dude.
And they're working overworked, overstressed, trying to make ends meet. They're not thinking about, they're pissed that they're paying too much tax, or they're pissed about this and that. But no one's really, how many people actually write to these people anymore? How many people call a Senate, or congressman?
I've
or
done
whatever?
it a couple of times.
I have. I just did it last week because I feel like I have a little bit more right to complain if I at least tried something on a basic level. Now, every time I write, I just get a form letter back from these motherfuckers that are
So, now
that will say, I appreciate your input on this, but this is how I voted and this is why.
What level are you referring to right now? Like the feds? Or like our state reps? Or is that sort of shit?
Recently, it's been more state.
Okay.
But I have written.
Yeah.
I've done everything.
Yeah.
Except I haven't written like a local city rep. I've like called them, but state and federal, I've written plenty. Over the last whatever years, right? But I just feel like at least somewhere someone might be tabulating like how many people are writing them about something because that might influence their thing. But so at the same time, these motherfuckers get elected, they're not hearing from us, right?
And even when they do, I don't think they do anything.
Well, and they're not hearing too much, right? But they are hearing from the lobbies. They are hearing from this. Yeah. And these motherfuckers that come by and be like, hey, we'll give you some money. Oh, you're running for re-election. Like, we got some funds for the coffer and blah, blah, blah. And you just put this through. And now we actually have lobbies that are writing pieces of legislation that are just given to senators and congressmen, and then they put that in the bill.
And they're the ones that make the rules, and they're the ones that get the money funneled through to them.
Yeah, and that's why this, you try and put this bill through that should be 3 pages, and it's 2,000 pages because every motherfucker has to put their
And they got to
little
get their hands in the pot. Absolutely.
Yeah. But so anyway, at the end of the day, so they do that, and they think, oh, I'm going to get fucked by my fucking constituents, and you. Oh, crickets. They didn't say shit to me.
Because they don't understand it, first of all.
I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think what happens is it's kind of natural that shit's going to happen. And you got to kind of be...
human nature.
And then I think they get in a position where they think they're above the people. Like, oh, I know it's better. No, you don't. You're fucking dumb. Half of these motherfuckers are stupid.
They're going to act in their own best interests.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the paradox is that the only things that could slow that down would be something like term limits or age limits. And the very people that have to vote it in are the ones that it affects. So they're all like, fuck that.
And that's why, like, all this shit goes on. The country's going bankrupt, and they're voting for their own raises. Like,
absolutely.
They should not be the ones voting on their raises. They should, you know what I mean?
And it's funny too. Like, you think about the IRS, they're literally separate from that. So that's by design. It's like, because these people just think that in the culture of where they work, it's like they're doing God's work. Catching the bad guy, the tax cheat, whatever, without realizing like. This money's going to get pissed into the wind anyway for the reasons you just enumerated. Having said that, like, you stand the benefit from busting balls.
Yeah.
And sometimes what happens in these audit situations, like I had a guy literally just like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? Here's the rule. Here's why it's okay. No. I had to appeal it. I won on appeal, but the guy was just basically making up his own fucking rules.
Yeah, he just
didn't give a fuck.
Little deviant and a little tyrant. Yeah. And that, motherfuckers like that need to get taken out. Yeah. But I think two things would make the country turn around a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
This is the platform I'm running on.
Let's do it.
Term limits.
Yeah.
4 years for Senate.
I'm campaign manager.
We'll lose some good ones. There's not many, but we'll lose some good ones.
Yeah.
But the greater good of losing all the fucking shitheads will be better. So, so term limits. Also, I think no bill should be over 50 pages. I think it should be less, but I'm going to give them 50 pages because you can read 50 pages.
Sure.
Because they admit, like, I remember Pelosi or someone was like, oh, we got to pass this bill so we can know what's in it. What? Like, so anyway, that's a real quote. But no bill should be over 50 pages in fucking plain English and not have anything involved in it that doesn't pertain to the actual aim of the bill.
Listen,
common sense.
Can't disagree.
Yeah.
The problem,
it's too simple. I know.
Yeah, it's like this is the thing. This is why.
And flat tax.
Well, again, flat tax.
I'm just kidding. Or usage. Like the problem is
what
we have a mishmash of so many fucking things. And this is a question I actually wanted to ask you.
Sure, what's up?
How much, when you think about, and I'm not just talking about federal income tax and state income tax were applicable, because I know not every state has income tax. How much do you think? And I'm not being disrespectful to like the poor people that are listening, and I'm not being disrespectful to the richer people that are listening. All 10 of you on both sides. I think I got a pretty middle class following here. Yeah. But I'm just playing. But how much do you think the average middle class, whether it's working class or like blue collar or white collar middle class, how much do you think the average person pays in taxes when you factor in, not, we can talk about just federal and state income tax.
Well, you're getting taxed every time you turn around.
But I wrote down some things that are taxes that aren't just, and some of them are taxes with the word tax in it, and some of them are not. And you might have some to add.
Yeah, I hope so.
So obviously we have things like property tax,
yes,
sales tax, right?
Yes.
And then you have things like that aren't called taxes, but kind of are taxes.
Let's hear it, because I bet you we're on the same page here.
Like licenses.
Sure.
License is a tax, whether it's a license for a gun, license to drive a car, a license for a hunting permit, licenses and permits, right? Registrations.
Now, can I stop you 1 second on the license thing? Like, think about it. Even if all they were raising was enough to have that licensing department, the politicians get to say they created jobs, and then they tax those motherfuckers too on the wages.
That's what I mean. So we have federal income tax, state income tax, property tax if you own property, sales tax if sales tax is applicable in your state, and now they're trying to do it on the internet. So wherever you are, like if you live in a state that collects income tax,
they do that already.
Yeah. And then if you happen to be in the high end of things, or if you do good in the stocks or crypto, you get capital gains tax.
Yeah,
right?
we need to talk a little bit more about
We
that.
will. Excise tax,
Yep.
which is a tax on something you already paid fucking sales tax on.
Correct. And it's supposed to fix the fucking roads, by the way. And,
And Massachusetts has the worst fucking roads in the fucking
absolutely.
world.
I was talking about my ass end of my bike ending up putting my
Yeah.
balls in my throat and the potholes around here.
Yeah. Excise tax for states that don't have it is like if you buy a car in Massachusetts, you pay sales tax on it. And then you also get a yearly tax on keeping that car. So you get an excise tax every year.
Yep.
And you also pay gas tax, which is another tax.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have, or going along that line, the gas, the alcohol, tobacco taxes, weed tax, whatever. Corporate taxes, fucking, we talked about tolls. It's another one.
Yeah, well, that
tolls
was
is a fucking tax.
The roads
Only-
were supposed to be done, and then they were supposed to stop that shit, but they were like, no. And now they don't even say we need to give a guy a job anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I
now
mean?
it's just all electronic.
Yeah.
and
Just zip right through Easy Pass.
Easy Pass sends you a
Yeah.
thing like, oh, we threw another $20 on your Easy
Yeah,
Pass account.
yeah.
Thank you. And the one that is the most heinous one, and I don't think it's not national,
Okay.
but certain states have it, death tax.
Oh.
You work your whole life.
It's federal.
You've
They
paid.
have a federal.
You've paid
state tax.
taxes on all the money you've made. You've paid taxes on everything you bought, and then you go to leave that to your kid, and they get fucking taxed on all of that.
Now, it's really rich motherfuckers that are hitting that one, but it exists. You know what
I
I'm
know
saying?
some
Like,
middle class people that got a little fucked with that.
they must have had some shit, man, because federally the threshold's super high. It's like,
Okay.
over 11 million. Now, Mass, I think it's only like 1 million. So you could maybe
so
there with real estate.
Maybe it wasn't federally. Yeah,
With real estate, you
but
can
with
get
real
whacked,
estate,
yeah.
like a $200,000 house three months ago is now $1 million
yeah,
house.
I feel you. Yeah, absolutely. So maybe it was the Mass side of
Yeah.
things for sure.
Yeah, or whatever the state was.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's others I'm missing. But when you look at all that shit, and federal income tax is 30 to what?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you make, obviously, but your average person, your middle class person, starting in the low 20s, probably. Like, what the hell is it going to be this year? Let me see. Like, if you
Really? Because I feel like it was.
Yeah.
I feel like a third. Well,
Well, no,
they
just
give you a
talking
refund.
feds. Just
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
feds here. So, like, if you're a single dude and you make between 41,000 and 89 grand, it'd be 22%. But then you get the state tax on top of it too.
Yeah.
But
I feel like there was more getting taken out of me, and I didn't.
well, that's the other thing too. Is like withholdings don't necessarily mean tax. It just
Yeah.
means like what you paid.
Yeah, and then they give you some.
And then
of
they
it.
give you some of it back, maybe.
Yeah.
But
yeah. But
the capital gain thing's interesting though, because that's what a lot of these super rich motherfuckers get away with.
payroll tax too. I
Yeah,
forgot about that. If you own a
that's
business.
dude. Honestly,
Corporate
that's
tax.
one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
right. That's the one that they want everybody paying that FICA and Medicare,
Yeah.
and then they don't spend it. on
And then,
FICA and
that's the
Medicare.
one. That's the one they didn't Biden like doubled it or something, tripled it or something.
He didn't change any percentages that I'm aware of.
No, I think or
Threshold, maybe?
they pushed it. They wanted to push the it to like 4. It was like 2. It was 1.7, and they put it to 4 or something like that.
Well, FICA and Medicare together is 7.65.
Not those. It
Which
was-
one?
Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. Maybe it was like the corporate tax or something.
Yeah, well, they fucked with that. Like that was during the Trump thing. They dropped it down. But that's the corporate tax that we're talking about. Like small businesses generally don't use that structure.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
use the S corp structure where they end up paying it on their personal return instead.
Yeah, yeah.
Which works out somewhat better.
But I still got to pay corporate filing fees. Of
Yes,
like
absolutely.
$500 dollars.
Yeah, you got some shit just to
$520 a year.
exist. Yeah, and every state's
year,
different.
yeah.
Like some states don't even have like fees for that shit.
I know that's why people incorporate in those
in
states.
like Delaware and
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And it's anonymous in Delaware too, I think.
Yeah.
But that's more of a legal shit. You know what I mean?
So how much do you think the average working class or middle class family pays in tax when just that rough so you think 20-something%?
Yeah, because like some of that stuff is so buried in other shit that it's hard to tell. But you got to figure like if between Fed and state, if we just say reasonably they're paying somewhere around what we call a marginal rate, which is like the average of all the rates, they're probably paying somewhere around 20%, right? And then with all this other shit, like the more shit you buy,
Yeah.
well then you get whacked more.
Or the property, or just
Yeah, and if your house is worth more, you get whacked more. So
because like a lot of states balance it out a little bit. If they don't have a state income tax, the property tax is going to be higher because they got to get the money somehow.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get speeding tickets, which is another.
Yeah.
Fines.
Oh,
those are another tax.
fines is the one that makes me insane, dude.
Yeah.
Like, downtown New Bedford, the stupid meters. Like, the guy keeps fucking with it, right? He changed the fucking quarters from 20 minutes to 12. Now, big fucking deal, right? No, because they can give more tickets that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's
the
only
ticket went up too, I think.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
And it's all the businesses downtown and all the people that frequent the businesses downtown.
all
So
the
it's like
people that work at the businesses.
that too.
unless they,
Absolutely.
you know,
That too. And so they're paying it, at an exorbitantly higher
yeah.
rate than
And then
average
imagine
person.
having to leave work every 12 fucking
get
minutes. Well,
fucking-
whatever. You
yeah.
can put in $1
And
or whatever.
they hired more people so they could collect more money.
Yeah.
I bitched about it once to a city councilor who shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
And he jerked me off about how he was going to get me a meeting with him and the parking department clerk. And then he kind of just whistled past the graveyard for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So I hit him back and I said, I figured you wouldn't want to go and figure this out. So, fuck you, I'll leave you alone. Not in so many words.
Yeah.
You get all rattled. But yeah, they don't, they're not going to change that shit.
No.
Every city has them. That's what the dude said to me.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't mean they need to. You know what I mean? And it's like
Think about New York and shit, where there are people that cannot afford to pay their tickets. Therefore, they cannot afford to get the boot off their car.
Yeah.
Therefore, they cannot fucking go to work.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
But I think, the thing is again, no motherfuckers would vote for that.
No.
That's just, they just push it
No.
through. And there's,
Now,
you know what I mean?
here's why, right? And some people think that like I'm pie in the sky. I don't expect this ever to be true, but this is why I expect some shit. That's why I believe in shit like universal healthcare, is because they should be, if they're going to rape us,
Yeah.
give us some shit for our investment. But they don't. Now, listen, I'm not delusional. It's never going to happen. I don't give a shit. But that's why I'm like, well, why the fuck aren't I getting something? Because like you said, all we're doing is paying interest on debt.
Yeah.
With this money.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
And
sure
every time they come up with a bright idea that costs another $700 trillion, it's our grandkids that'll be paying for it.
And then on top of it, how much is it to pay 87,000 more IRS agents?
Oh, shit,
Because
yeah.
they're getting full benefits,
Well,
and they're going to have a pension.
Don't forget, that's an estimated amount based on the funding they were given. It's a lot of money, dude.
Yeah.
I wish I wrote it down, but
Yeah.
I was reading it today. I was like, are you shitting me right now?
Yeah, like that's where we should be spending money, and we got like deteriorating infrastructure. We got deteriorating cities. Like we got fucking.
Let me give you this
deteriorating public educational system.
remember
we're gonna fucking double the size of the IRS.
dude, remember we were
Fuck these
focusing-
motherfuckers, dude. Fuck them.
We were focusing on the middle class.
Yeah.
When I was reading that article about this fucking Inflation Act or whatever, they estimated that, since that provision is not in there, that over a 10-year period, it would cost the middle class about $20 billion in taxes and, in this enforcement that they're going to do.
Yeah.
So it is affecting middle class people. There are studies.
Whether
that,
you're audited or not, you're paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to pay for these motherfuckers. So you're paying for your
Precisely.
own indentured servitude, because I would gather to say middle class, with all these taxes combined,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably paying somewhere, I don't know exactly, but I would gather between 30 and 38%, 40% of your fucking yearly income. So fucking, what's fucking 4 months out of the year. Well, no.
I see what you're saying. You're trying to see like how long do you have to work before your money's yours, like that kind of thing.
4 months
Yeah.
out of the year, you're a fucking slave to
Yeah.
the government.
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And
they're
don't
just
forget, like,
taking
you know,
your shit. And
can-
are you like you said exactly? Are you happy with the level of service and benefits and government programs
Mm-hmm.
that you are getting for that money? Because I don't know a motherfucker that is. I don't care if you're left, right, DR, fucking
Doesn't matter.
whatever. Like everyone's getting fucked. Like, and it's both sides fucking doing it. It's the double penetration of fucking. You know what I mean? And it's like they volley a little bit here and there. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And but at the same time, it's like it was right on the table where Democrats had the chance to codify that and did it. That just shows all of their fucking colors, dude. Like,
Well,
and-
I truly believe hope is for suckers. Having
Yeah.
said that, let me give you a little hope.
yeah.
I don't know.
Vote all these motherfuckers out.
I
That's
don't know
the
what's
only way
much
to do
hope.
it.
Is that like, the Democrats got so fucking stubborn trying to get rid of Trump that they rolled this motherfucker out who's gonna fucking die any day or whatever, right?
This motherfucker that doesn't even know where he is half the
Dude,
time.
they're gonna lose miserably this fall.
I know.
And then you know what? If the fucking clown car gets back in, they'll unfuck all that shit anyway, probably.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
crazy, man. But the problem is like, here's the thing. This is the other problem where I see with the parties is that they're not putting forth. You can see that. I think one of the other most essential problems is that things are so divided, at least superficially between DNR that now they're like sports teams.
Yeah.
And they're putting their team before the country. And both sides do
I was
this.
actually surprised they even got this fucking thing passed. Like, how? They can't even like agree on anything. How the
Yeah.
fuck did they get this passed?
But you know what I mean? And it's like they got to stop, motherfuckers got to stop putting, and you can't ask the parties to do that because they're so corrupted.
This goes to what we're saying, right? How fucking odd is that? All of a sudden we can give the IRS a bunch of money?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. But like before that, you guys couldn't fucking do anything for any person.
If they gave,
I don't know, like
$700 billion, right?
Yeah.
If they just gave that to the people and said, here's a check to everybody. I don't know.
Well, again, I don't know about that because like look what happened when they gave out all the fucking COVID money.
Yeah, but it was like $1,000. It wasn't that.
No, I know, but not when you consider, right? Like, dude, I was doing tax returns and like there were people, the husband and wife getting like 90 grand in unemployment.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was nuts.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want anybody to be fucking starving and shit. But by the same token, like, even look at, there were college kids that were like getting fucking the unemployment plus the extra and shit.
Yeah.
And they didn't even make anything close to that working part-time wherever the fuck they
it's
worked,
crazy,
right?
yeah. No,
You
I
get
know.
an extra $600 a week. It was like 5 times what their unemployment was.
We got all these unrealistic expectations, and I don't get what's going on now because, like, in a lot of industries where I know people who own businesses, no one can find anyone to work.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Where did everyone go?
I don't know.
Isn't that a
Like
weird fucking problem?
Because all the fucking unemployment seems to be done.
Yeah, I'm like,
Right.
how are motherfuckers living?
Yeah,
Like,
I got every business owner that I have on my list basically complaining about that.
yeah,
Like,
no one can find anyone. I could use 2 fucking full-time guys and not even be able to keep up, and
That part I
could actually
cannot
generate a
figure-
profit at that point.
I
probably.
cannot figure that out. Well, what do they all just start selling weed on the side? Like, what?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
They all got an OnlyFans now. I don't.
You get that, or they get that fucking Patreon money, which is like OnlyFans for podcasters.
Yeah. But dude, I mean,
yeah,
like,
no,
come on.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like how many
No.
people? I don't know. It is a weird phenomenon. I'm like, where? You're right. Where did they go?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So on that list, did I miss any? Were there any glaring ones that we missed that are taxes that might not be thought of as taxes?
Well, I mean,
And do you agree with my assessment, 30 to 40%? Like,
it would be hard for me to say, like,
I know,
only because, like I say, it's just is hard for me to decipher
Sure,
when a
sure.
tax is buried into something we buy anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
But here's the crazy thing,
Yeah.
right? Is like some of these things, like you're paying like a use tax and sales tax on. Like I don't smoke, but like you know what I mean. But you're paying a tobacco tax and then you're paying a sales tax.
well, like
It's
the,
like, how many-
the,
how
the
many-
mass
how much can
weed
fucking be
tax is
taxed?
like you get the regular sales tax of 6.25%.
Yeah.
There's a 10.75 that goes to the state. That's the money that you'd like to know where it is. Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And then if the town wants to,
They can add a
they
little
can add a 3% like local.
local tax.
And there was some shit too.
So you might be paying 20% tax on whatever your purchases.
On the weed, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
20% altogether. Yeah. And
Because
then,
yeah, that's
it's crazy, you know? But yeah, man, fucking.
no.
Yeah, there was
Like
community
14,
host
15.
agreements too, because I had a couple of clients. I had to get out of this shit. It was making me so fucking crazy realizing how like fucked up it was. It was like, yeah, go ahead, start a weed business. Oh yeah, we forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
You can't get a bank account and shit
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
They kind of starting to fix that shit.
Yeah.
But like, you know,
Buy a vault,
but
motherfucker.
like getting shook down in some cases by like mayors and shit.
Oh, yeah,
for these
yeah.
community host agreement amounts.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, you want to be in this town? It was almost like brown bagging it like back in the day. You know?
Yeah. It's fucking
Shit.
crazy. Dude. So
And it's
yeah.
supposed to be all above board, you
Yeah.
know?
What do you think? Before I forget, because I don't want to forget these. I had 2 questions that were emailed in.
Okay.
So John, who does our show graphics,
Yeah.
who did that.
Amazing
Yeah.
silhouette.
Yeah, the silhouette.
That,
he wanted to know.
Yeah.
Do bonuses like if you work for a company and you
Yeah.
get like a year end bonus or
Yeah.
like a bonus based on performance or performance based bonus,
Mm-hmm.
those are taxed differently, right? At a different rate.
No,
They're not.
their compensation, what ends up happening is
You go into a different tax bracket.
basically,
potentially,
and that's why people used to play with their exemptions, but there are no more exemptions. So you really can't fuck with that anymore. They changed the way it all works, so they made that harder to do.
Yeah.
Some people, I've seen them do it where they go in and they'll override the system so they just don't withhold anything. Technically not allowed, you know, look, nobody's going to fucking know. At the end of the day, when that person gets a W-2, they're going to have whatever they paid in, and that's it. But the reason it seems like it's more, because like you said, it jumps you in another bracket. So on the percentage, they're taking more out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
But
that happened when I worked regular jobs once. I got a raise once because I got a better position. And it came with a lot more responsibility. And I got this raise, but the raise put me in this different tax bracket where I wasn't making that
and your
much
take
more.
home, it was like not worth the extra
No, it
responsibility.
wasn't worth it. Yeah. It was like, what the fuck? It's like you're being penalized for doing well. You know what I mean?
Well, that goes back to what we were talking about before. Like, if somebody explained to people how this shit works, you know what I mean? Like, even my own kids, like, they don't really know what I do.
Yeah.
And now they're all starting to work, and they're all starting to ask me these questions, and they're completely mystified. Like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, you're right. What the fuck is this? It's unnecessarily confusing in most cases.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the point. So
it is the point.
They got to keep
muddies the water.
Got to keep it, amorphous and open to enough interpretation to make it go whatever way they need it to at the time. Yeah.
They argue sometimes the opposite argument depending on which fucking type of business you are.
Yeah.
So that they get the most money.
Yeah.
Right. So like this might be a little fucked up. I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. But just like make believe you have a Corporation A and Corporation B, and they're following these rules that are allowed by the IRS. One, they want you to fucking take payroll, so you'll pay some fucking FICA tax. The other one, they don't want you to take payroll because they want you to pay the corporate tax instead, so that when you pull the money out after you get double taxed. They will argue it opposite depending on which one you are.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're not taking enough payroll on the one they want you to, they fucking get you for that. Yeah. And if you're taking too much on the other side, they get you for that. The opposite argument completely just because of how you're structured.
Yeah.
It's complete and utter bullshit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
it's bananas, man.
they're just trying to get the money. That's the thing, right? This is an adversarial relationship, right? They're trying to get the money, and we're trying to pay, at least in my case, legally, the least amount.
Yeah.
You know?
Like I said, I got no problem in general paying taxes if there was more. If we were just getting better results,
services for it,
better services, right? And two, if there was more transparency, we're like, where's this money going? Like, like how does all this money disappear? You know what I mean? And sorry.
I've always had this wacky thought, and since I'm accountant X, I can say it, is like the only way to fuck these guys is if everybody just got together for like 2 months and just didn't pay payroll taxes. Watch them fucking scramble, dude.
Yeah.
But nobody's got the balls to get on the same page.
No, see, the problem is like 10% of people will do it, and the other 90% that said they would do it will like gay out and not do it.
It's just like
and
the
it'll screw
GameStop
the
thing.
10%, wicked bad, And so that's that's what happens.
Yeah, you can't get on the same page, so you can't fuck them over, and they know it.
Yeah. Another one of my Patreon subscribers, Laurie Don, who was also a guest on this podcast before, and I quoted this one. I'd like to know how tracking accounts with a meager 10K in transactions is targeting wealthy Americans. So I guess we're getting back to the 10K thing.
Okay. Well, first of all, a lot of the reporting that goes on with that 10K threshold is related to cash.
Okay.
Right? So like if you show up at the bank and you make a deposit that has $10,000 in cash, they're going to report that.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you had like a certified check from a bank or something, or like
that's different because then they know it was like coming from a bank.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I know there's certain rules about like which checks qualify and which ones don't, because some of them are just like cash. But what they're trying to do is like, and by the way, like if it was a corporate thing, like you're not supposed to be able to deposit like a check into, if it's a corporate check, into anything other than a corporate bank account.
Okay.
So they don't really track that shit. But like when it comes to a small business, they can go and cash the check. So now the person's got cash. Now they go try to take it to the bank, and they put it in their own bank. So now there's no record of where the hell it came from and who's got to report it. That's why that reporting exists. Why does that target wealthy? It doesn't. It doesn't. That has nothing. Really, it doesn't have anything to do.
No. I think she was being tongue in cheek. She said, "Why does a 10,000 thing targeting wealthy? Because meaning like it's really targeting."
Oh yeah,
everybody.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely targeting everybody.
Middle
so
class,
that's a fact.
Yeah.
And by the same token, it's more about underreported income in that case.
Yeah.
Than it is about audits, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where you catch these rich people doing the weird shit that I mentioned the lawyers tell them to do, and that's really costing them a lot of money.
Yeah.
So The only way to catch those guys is through targeting them through audit. It's a little bit different than what we're talking about with the 10K.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It targets everyone for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Businesses especially.
yeah.
You know?
It's a tough time right now, just from personal experience, to be in business, because with inflation and everything going crazy and the cost of materials, it's bananas, dude. It's hard. And it's like, I can't raise my prices that much, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like, just for example, like we make the Kevlar gloves. Kevlar is more than doubled
Right.
in price. Tubing for the oil tanks we make used to be $18 a length. That same tubing is $78 a length now. I can't quadruple the price of an oil tank.
Right. I feel you on that, but it's almost like, you know, how do you not even, you must have to come close, because how else can you
I went up
pay
like $5 or $10. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
because you have to know your market too.
Yeah, of
like
course,
at a
of
certain
course.
point, it's priced out.
Don't get me wrong. If I was just being like as impersonal as just the numbers, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's almost like a force in your hand.
Yeah.
Right. But of course, you don't want to screw over your customer base, because then they're not there. You know, because
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
else will undercut you.
Yeah.
You know.
Or someone will buy some fucking stamped out
Yeah.
fucking Chinese garbage.
Right,
that
right,
it
right.
Costs
Exactly.
$10 to make. Yeah,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
So
it's like
it's-
versus the homemade.
But that's the thing, is like, at what point does the inflation? It's like not even a tax issue anymore. It's like, at what point does the inflation fucking push
crazy.
small business out
I know.
even further than it already is?
Because like my electric bill is fucking crazy. Like everything's, all my overhead is so bananas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not bitching. I am bitching. You know, fuck it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So my point is, if you have friends that have small businesses, now more than ever, fucking support those businesses.
Absolutely.
Because everyone thinks it's glorious and awesome, dude. It's fucking tough, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
way tougher than it's way easier. I made a lot more money when I just did a fucking easy job and collected checks and that were direct deposited and fucking whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Comes with its own set of challenges.
it does. dude, and
Self-employment.
It sucks. It sucks, but I wouldn't do it any other way anymore.
Right, man.
You know what I
Because
mean?
that's the thing. Like, you know, at some point you're functionally unemployable
I
because you've
am,
been
yeah.
doing it yourself for so long. Like,
I
there's no
would-
way I'm listening to somebody tell me.
I was pretty unemployable even when I was employed, but I was good enough. Like where, like I was a necessity, you know what I mean. So that, you know what I mean. So, and a unique set of skills like that, you know. So
Yeah.
so whatever. You got to make yourself unreplaceable, like, or very
mean,
hard to replace.
that's one of the-
no one's irreplaceable, but
Yeah.
make yourself harder to be replaced. You know what I mean?
I just got so used to doing shit my own way, or showing up when I need to,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
however
yeah,
I need
yeah.
to, or whatever, you know. I shed the suit a long time ago because I was
Yeah,
like, what the fuck am I doing this for? Like, I got my own business. Like, if people don't fucking like me the way I am, then fuck them. But it's also made it so I have interesting clients, you know what I mean?
Which, it doesn't matter when you're coming to like me or Craig or
Yeah, but
Cheney or
you know what, dude? Honest to God, like, I fucking just started training motherfuckers. Like, they call me up and like, oh, I got your name from so-and-so. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. By the way, don't expect what you're expecting. You know what I mean?
Don't expect a suit. Expect a Thrasher hoodie and a fucking fish weed hat. Like, not Fish the band, but a weed leaf made out of fish.
Made out of some kind of fish. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great hat.
Yeah, fuck yeah. But yeah, dude. So what else? What else are we missing? There's a lot of shit going on. I think we touched on a lot.
Yeah.
I think the takeaway for this is that people just need to stop being a little more aware of what the fuck is going on and being a little more active and vocal about things like when
Yeah.
they can. And it's like, it sucks too, because half the work is just trying to find a unbiased information source to
Oh, yeah, I mean,
get like news. Like, that's just like the news without like a fucking agenda or a fucking bias attached to it.
Yeah, I mean, and don't forget too, like, even if you tried to read this shit, like, I've been doing this for 20 years.
Oh, you can't read tax code,
Try
yeah.
to read it, your brain wants to explode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, by the time you fucking get to code section D, C359, you're like, where did I start? I don't even know.
No, but I mean, like, you know, like getting like the crux of things that doesn't have a spin on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like a digestible
Absolutely.
form of news that is just, here is what is going on. Here are the potential implications, pros, cons, whatever. Like, you know what I mean?
It's
But
gotten
there's no agenda behind
It's
it.
gotten to the point where even when I'm hearing some shit that I might agree with, it's annoying that they're pandering to me and I can see it.
You could see it.
Yeah, it's just like, shut up, dude.
Yeah.
Like, finding independent news is tough.
It's tough.
I listen to a lot more independent journalists on podcasts now.
Yeah, it's
Now,
true. It's
again,
like-
the problem with that is, like, if you're not vetting these people,
You don't know,
right?
yeah.
But like, I most of them are on Substack and shit like that. So
Yeah. I feel like Substacks are pretty good.
it's basically, you got to kind of run the gamut.
People wear their people wear their, who they are on their sleeves on that. Like, you know where they're coming from.
Heard a recent case where it was getting to, like, somebody was bitching about something and it became a thing where they had to like swat it down so keep the floor open to everybody, so to speak. Somebody was kind of trying to get in there and censor.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, but it didn't work.
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
was good news. But yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard to figure out.
Well, you find out all these media companies are owned by, you know, the same corporations that own other things, and you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, that makes sense. That, you know, or these 3 investment firms own everything.
It's all about money, dude.
It's fucking
It's
bananas.
all about shareholders.
You don't have to worry. Everyone talks about like conspiracy or weird things and something. It's like super simple.
It's
Just
not
follow the money.
That's the thing. It's like you say conspiracy. It makes it sound like it's impossible or somehow like some kind of shadowy thing.
All that means is 2 or more people conspiring and doing some shit. You
and
know
it's
what I
like
mean?
you know they'll trick themselves. Here's the thing. They don't see it as a conspiracy because they'll trick themselves into believing if they're bringing pork to their state that they're doing good thing for the constituency.
yeah.
But it's like somehow on the back end they owe favors. That's why they're doing this shit.
yeah.
You know, depending on who got them elected.
Exactly. And it's like, but who they're really accountable to, and it ain't you. It ain't us.
No.
You know, because we let that happen. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't think this is gonna change anything. You know what
No,
I mean? But
absolutely
I
not.
at least said my piece so I can
It's
put
more
my head
about
down and be like, all right,
this was a great venting session
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
You know, hopefully I can make it through the last 10 years of my fucking career before I quit this shit.
yeah. Well, you got the good remote off the grid location to fucking
Oh hell yeah.
go
dude.
to. But yeah, man. Anything else, man? What
No.
else is going on? We haven't talked about. Did we miss anything?
I don't know if you want to talk about taxes, I got,
You got a
nothing
lot.
else.
You got a lot of notes there. Like
Yeah, this is just all some shit because I wasn't sure what you're gonna talk to me about the fucking the history of all this shit. But
Yeah,
like,
I mean, what
it's crazy? Like
what was the
I had-
tax rate that we went to war with England over?
Oh, dude. Well, that was.
Was it like 3 point or
I'm
4
not even
point
sure what the hell that was,
percent?
what the rate was, but I know it was just basically because we didn't have anybody in Parliament. That's why they were pissed.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but this shit is pretty funny. If you look at this, you were mentioning in 1913 when it started, it was 7%.
What's that?
That was the highest rate.
Of taxing?
Yeah. And then if you look, it just kind of fucking went bonkers here for a minute up into the 70s.
That's
And
fucking.
then the 20s, it dipped again, right?
Yeah.
The 30s. And then all of a sudden, it jumps back up again. And like,
So
dude,
it's pretty cyclical.
yeah,
they-
but then it stayed 80% or higher from like 1940. This is the highest rate, all the way to 1963 before it dipped again.
We're talking about the highest
rate.
the
Now-
most taxed.
Yeah, and like
individuals.
some of it was, obviously it depends on how much the income threshold was, right? Not everybody was going to pay that.
Yeah, of
and
course,
it's the
yeah.
last one, right? So when you say, like, for example, if I say the highest rate was 90%, well, what that means is that they're not actually paying 90% on all of their income. It's like when you
On the
get
taxable income.
when you get to that threshold, you'll pay 90%. So you're already at a mark where you like have more money than anyone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But not the point. The point that's funny is it, if you want to call it funny.
It's funny that chat just happens to start in 1913.
Well, yeah,
of course,
that's because that's when it was all codified by an amendment, right? But like, yeah, man, as early as freaking 1981, the highest rate was still 69%,
Yeah.
and then went down to 50 for a minute, and then it was just like basically in the high 20s, low 30s for a minute, and then it pushing 40 during the 90s. It's kind of, but like right now we're back at that 40. I shouldn't say that. We're at 37. For the highest rate.
I think one of
the bigger thing would be like it depends on how much the money is, right? So if they change that too, that's what that table doesn't show you.
Yeah,
it just tells you the rate.
Yeah. What's the?
So, if it's taxed on less money or more money, then that's what really would make a difference, right?
Sure,
if you're getting to that higher bracket at a lower amount, that's what's scary.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's really how it would go. But yeah, this is just all a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
That is really, we talked about the weed rules thing. We talked about the other taxes.
Yeah,
You brought all that shit up.
right.
Yeah, man. The only thing I guess we didn't talk about is like the capital gains rates, which is, that's how some of these rich dudes don't, like by percentage, don't pay as much in percent.
Okay.
Right. Now, granted, I forget it was Bezos or if it was Elon Musk who recently, pointed out and factually that he actually paid more taxes than anyone last year.
Yeah.
Ever.
Wasn't Bezos? I don't know. Amazon pays like nothing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Maybe he does.
Yeah, I
personally,
can't remember if it was one of these fucking cock rocket dudes. That's all I know.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was Musk or whatever. But anyway, he mentioned that he literally paid more taxes in dollars than anyone. But it's like when you can generate long-term capital gains and you're only getting taxed at whatever. What the hell is the rate now? Fucking long-term capital gains. Like basically 20% if your long-term capital gain is over. Like basically call it 400,000, right? It's a little bit higher than that. But basically these guys are out there trading stocks, making long-term capital gains.
Yeah.
You and me are fucking working creating what we call ordinary income that's subject to that crazy graduated tax rate. So eventually, like if we start doing better, we don't get to keep as much.
Yeah.
Whereas
But
this
there's
fucking guy is like
20% no matter what it is.
yeah, and 20% when you could buy the world over 70 times or whatever you have left, especially, it doesn't fucking matter to him. You know what I mean? But I don't know what you do about that. Like, you know, a guy like that could do something good, which maybe he is. I don't know. Like, or he could build a cock rocket.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, right? Space is the next area for exploration and finding things to make money.
Speaking of more money to spend on shit, the Space Force. What are those guys doing? Are they fucking? Are they watching out for lasers?
When the Anunnaki come back, man, we might need to be protected.
Yeah, you never know. It's true.
Actually, but the thing is, I'm not even talking. I'm just kidding about the alien ship, right?
No, the aliens, but the fucking interballistic missiles.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not 100% against the Space Force.
Yeah.
I think it might be a little early.
Yeah.
But at some point, we are going to be more space-bound than we are now.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to
sure.
need something like that because there's going to be some bullshit going on in space. Like, you know what I mean? Who knows? You know what I mean? People
Do you think we'll live to get to see the Death Star or what?
No, we will not.
fuck.
But some shit... There'll be some bullshit going on, and we'll need space cops, right?
Eventually.
Well, like we won't, but you know, I don't call cops. But I have my own shit, like you know. But whatever, you know what I mean. But you know, I think at some point that's going to be something that we do need.
Yeah.
Like even if it's just for handling bullshit, like with satellites or something. I don't know what I haven't read the whole scope of what they do.
I tried to figure that out the other day. I don't know. I went down some fucking stone rabbit hole trying to figure out what the fuck Space Force does, and apparently they are into like some kind of like missile defense kind of shit.
Well, that's understandable.
Which makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You never know. Like I would think like by now, because like nothing's really made exactly in one place unless you fabricate it yourself, like at a shop like yours, right?
Yeah.
Like you say, made in America. Well, they can say that if it's assembled here, it's made in America. You would think that there would.
Well, they have to say made in America of foreign components.
They do have to say that on the little tag. All right, well, that's fair enough. But I guess the point is like you'd think you wouldn't have a dude just like possibly starting World War III when everyone kind of depends on each other right now. Like economically, there's nothing we can do about it either. It's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I touched on all the tax crap. We could talk about whatever. Well,
let's talk about the alien space bases on the moon and why Space Forces.
Yes.
Buzz Aldrin said they're up there. We see
somebody
them.
up there.
We see them. They're watching us.
Was he hitting a DMT pen when he said that? How old was he when he said that? Did he really say that?
Yeah. Check that shit out. It's fucking crazy, dude.
So did he say this like what
he said when he was there, dude?
No shit.
It gets a little deleted and shit, but there's audio of that somewhere, I guess.
I wonder about all that crazy shit
I know,
from back then, like when it was all shadowy.
Conjecture. I'm not saying I believe in any of this, by the way, before I start getting all the mail. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
But I don't believe, but I don't disbelieve. I don't know. I've never been in the moon. I don't know what the fuck is there. You know what I mean? So you haven't either. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about you, the listener. Unless you've been to the moon, you don't know what the fuck is there either. So you don't know if there is a base or not. You know what I mean? So relax. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
This is weed talk.
This is some like Tom DeLonge shit right now.
What is money? Money is nothing.
It isn't nothing.
It's bad. It's evil. It's nothing.
Think about it, man. The more you get, the bigger your nut you got to cover gets because you find a way to fucking spend that shit.
It's all nothing. It's just a piece of paper with. We all agree this is worth this much.
Right.
So tomorrow we might not all agree that.
No. No.
And I mean, it seems like that every time I go to the store for the same shit. It seems like every week it's more money for the same thing. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, man, it's one of those things too. Like with the gas, and this happened like during the first Gulf War, right? When the shit went crazy, it went to like $4 a gallon, and then we were all fucking stoked when it was like $2.98.
Yeah,
remember that? It's the same shit's happening now. It was like $4.15 the other day. I was geeked at the pump.
Yeah.
Fucking great, man.
No, it's like it was like $3.99 somewhere. It's under $4. Yeah,
which is crazy. They're just like lulling us.
There's no shortage.
Yeah, no, these people made
it's
a lot
all
of money.
OPEC and motherfuckers just holding shit back and playing games with supply and demand and fucking. There's little fiefdoms and there's games going on at such a higher level that we're not part of. Yeah. That there's shit
we're not in the club as
and
George
they're all
Carlin
fucking with each other and fucking around and you're like, all right, well, guess what? You motherfuckers didn't drive a lot the last couple of years. We didn't make a lot. We're gonna recoup it right now. Gas $5. Fuck you. You know what I mean? We're gonna do. You still need to drive. You still need to go somewhere.
Yeah, it's funny too, because like even if you are one of these congressmen that like calls one of these motherfuckers out, you're like on your own island.
Yeah.
There was one chick I saw the other day. I can't remember her name now. She bitched this CEO out. Not exactly. She asked him. She put out a fucking blank whiteboard, and she asked him to help her justify his salary. Tell me the reasons why you deserve $127 million a year. So the fucking dude goes, well, it's a comparable salary for a similar job in my profession or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, sir, just because somebody else is getting paid too much to do your stupid job doesn't mean that that's a justification, right? Yeah. She bitched him out, but like it's just a fucking soundbite. Because like you said,
they probably went to dinner later and laughed.
Even if that one was actually being genuine, there's like 10 other ones that are probably on his fucking payroll.
But you know what? It would be like, why are you making $200,000 and you're a fucking millionaire? How about that?
Yeah.
Fuck you. You know what I mean? You know,
it was interesting. There was a list.
Because here's the thing, and this is.
Dude, the exorbitant amount, not just millionaires, like hundreds of millions net worth some of them.
So my problem isn't with someone in the private industry making that much money. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with it, but like I don't have a real problem with it.
Yeah.
But you know what? If that's what they're doing, that's what they're doing. My problem is the government because we're paying for all that. Mm. Like if it's private industry, we're choosing to pay for their products. You know what I mean? And they're choosing to pay whatever they pay their people. I don't agree with this never-ending expansion and never-ending profit. Like we profited $5 billion this year, it has to be $5.5 billion next year, or we're losing.
It's the model though, because they're beholden to shareholders and earnings per share. It's like,
and then when you look at the shareholders, who are always the top 3 or 4 shareholders. So whatever. But you know you can look those names up. They're pretty fucking common. But what we're saying is like. I'm more concerned about it within the realm of public service. You know what I mean? Because it's like you're getting paid on the taxpayer dollar. That's why it's like even locally, man, these motherfuckers, they forget, like, I'm not saying that you're my fucking servant, but like they forget, like, especially I feel like at the city or town level, that they forget like your job is to like facilitate things, not to be a fucking gatekeeper and use your little ounce of power for power and control. Like fuck you, dude. Like just come inspect this, right? It's good. Fuck you. All right. See you later. You know what I mean? Or like whatever. Like give me the permit to do this. So like
I've heard contractors saying that like certain dudes are just pricks.
Yeah.
And you got to like.
Or there was the guy in Lakeville or Freetown or whatever some years ago was like, yeah, you want this permit? Bing, 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 you know, pay up.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
and then he got fired for that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there are definitely people that get these fucking jobs and they figure out how to game it from inside.
Yeah.
You know?
Or it's like town halls and city halls close at 12 on Friday. I wish I could leave at Friday at 12, you know what I mean?
Shit.
Still get paid for a full week, you know what I mean? Or whatever. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Like whatever. But it's just.
If they already have a bunch of money, it's like, you know, I get it. Like you're doing this so-called job.
But it's never ending taxation, increasing money. Where does the money go? And how is it? It's not being used the way. I don't think you know. Taxpayers don't get to vote on where the money fucking goes. And I'm not saying we need to vote on every single thing, but you know what I mean. We should have more of a say. Like, and you can't just put this shit through. Like,
but
you know,
don't forget, these people are there to represent the constituency, right?
Yeah. The constituency that's too tired and fucking.
Well, they can't do anything about it anyway.
And uneducated in the way of American civics to even know about hitting them up to be like, yo. Yeah. The fuck you doing, man? And there's just no good lobbies for like the middle class or for like small businesses.
And they'll just dance around it anyway. And you know, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here.
But you know, Americans are in for a big crash when the middle class finally collapses, man. Because we're the straw that holds the fucking thing together. Because the poor rightly don't pay their share because they have not much to pay in, and the rich have ways around it. You know what I mean? So.
We're the ones making all the ordinary income, as I pointed out. We're the ones that pay the graduated tax.
Yeah, and we're the ones that are funding most things, I believe, you know? And so when we're finally crushed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's been the argument for a long time.
I know.
And, you know, the middle class has been shrinking. It goes to your other question about, like, the 50s. Like, the middle class was swelling in the 50s.
Yeah.
You know? Again, I can't say for like, you know, what was the difference? What was the government's
I think too,
back then?
It's not just government, it's the corporations and corporate responsibility. CEOs were making much less of a percentage back then. You know what I mean? And I think there was more
everyone
equity
was working, and wages and
there was more equity
were,
distributed through the company, and it wasn't just like the top management.
Don't forget that
a
lot of these towns sprouted up when they were building all this infrastructure. So that's how they got the white picket fence.
Yeah.
You know, it was part of the deal.
Yeah.
by building the road
Yeah.
or the factory or whatever the fuck, you know? But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think the takeaway is we're fucked. It's going to keep getting in a bigger clusterfuck. And so
Yeah, I fucking
try and
hate to
navigate
say
your way through it.
All I'm trying to do is keep my people out of their fucking grip. That's all.
I know.
And you know, sometimes it's not that easy. Like sometimes people don't make it easy, but
No. But
for the most part, they listen to me. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in my list. You know?
absolutely, yeah. Support small business.
Hell yeah.
Fucking go back to bartering whenever you can because you can't tax bartering.
Oh, they can if they try. If they catch you doing it, it's funny. Like it's one of those auditing things.
Oh, really? They
Oh,
do?
God,
Oh,
yeah.
goddamn. See, it gets worse. You learn something every day.
Listen, don't get me wrong, man. Like they've heard every fucking story.
Sure,
If I
yeah.
could just share with the audience one tidbit before we go,
Yeah.
it's like just don't trick yourself into believing you can just make up a story and they'll be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, man, show me the evidence or forget it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
They just, whatever you think you are clever, they've heard that shit 1,000 times. You know what I mean?
There's someone
So-
a lot smarter than you that probably tried to pull
it
similar
ain't even
things over
about
that-
smarts. It's just
No.
over time they've accumulated a list of,
Yeah.
what people do and they figure out what to look for. And it is what it is.
It's like when a cop pulls you over, they know you're just bullshitting. Like, that's why I'm like, you know what you're doing? I was probably speeding.
Yeah, that's right. So if you just don't say anything, then they don't have shit. But everybody kind of does that, right? Like, do you know why I stopped you? Oh, I don't know. Was I speeding?
Yeah.
I love those videos on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers shutting motherfuckers down on the DUI checkpoint. Those are great.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
Fuck, man, that's another crazy thing. There's another tax.
Yeah. Yeah.
because-
Well, not just a tax, but like a complete violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah. Well, but no one cares about that.
Yeah.
TV still
Like
on.
you said, the shit they should care
Still
about.
hamburgers at BJ's and fucking still a Taco Bell and shit. So people are pretty complacent. Football's happening. Fucking baseball's happening. Fucking basketball's happening.
Yeah, it's crazy too. It's like I wonder, like we thought we've seen bad shit, right? But
I can't wait. I honestly, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm done caring about shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, bring it on. I'll survive whatever.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like
And so-
I wonder if like a lot of shit that we're worried about is just like.
Let it break so that it can get fixed. You know what I mean?
But I don't know if it's. I think it'll find a way to just keep limping along.
That's what it's been doing.
That's what it seems like it's been doing.
Yeah. I know. It's fucking crazy, man. But I don't care. I'm ready. Be more interested in living Mad Max times.
Dude, I've been getting ready.
I'll thrive, dude. It'll be fun. I'm so bored with like fucking all this bullshit, dude. It sucks.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, I digress. So,
Yeah.
all right. On a happy note, motherfuckers. See you later.
Peace.
Ever tried reading while jogging, cooking, or even juggling flaming torches? Yeah, it doesn't end well. But with audiobooks.com, you can conquer books without the circus act. Dive into over 450,000 titles, including more than 10,000 free ones. Get hooked on a bestseller, find your next obsession, or finally read that classic you've been avoiding since high school. And here's the inside scoop. Sign up today for a free 30-day trial and snag your first 3 audiobooks on the house. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.